Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about AI. And so, first of all, who am I? Why am I here talking about AI? Well, I'm a college professor. My specialty is information security, but I wrote a popular tutorial on hidden Markov models, which is a machine learning technique that does not involve neural networks. But I've also written a textbook on machine learning, just in general, includes lots of neural networking topics. So anyway, and written a bunch of research articles, and mostly using machine learning and AI techniques related to information security. So anyway, the point of that is that I think I understand the technology pretty well, what's happening behind the scenes. And so, I just want to talk about some of the failures of AI, or some of the stupid things that AI does. And maybe people will, well, I'm a bit skeptical about AI. Maybe convince you to be a little more skeptical of AI, and maybe it's not going to take over the world. Maybe it's actually just going to be a useful tool for people. Of course, it's going to change things, and there are going to be job losses, and there are going to be dislocations, and all that stuff's true. But, some of the sci-fi kind of stuff just strikes me as ridiculous. Sort of my biases up front. Let's look at some stuff. Okay, so just a couple things that happened to me recently. One was I saw a paper that had cited a research paper I had written, and the citation made absolutely no sense. Okay, the paper I had written was about malware, and the article was about leisure activities or some ridiculous thing. I mean, nothing to do with malware. And they had cited this paper, and obvious to me that this paper was written by a chatbot. So the people who wrote the paper didn't even bother to check the citations, see if they made any sense. So there's a lot of that going on in academia today. I see papers all the time that are written or edited by chatbots. I had another student who wrote a paper for a class project. It was a very nice class project, but it was obvious this paper had been written by a chatbot. I had students do research projects with AI generated text, and so it's pretty easy to spot once you've seen some of it. And so it was obvious this paper had been written by a chatbot. And of the 11 references that were cited in the paper, 2 of them were fake. I mean, completely fake, but it was actually pretty difficult to tell that they were fake, because the researchers they mentioned were actually real people, and the papers sounded very plausible, but no such papers existed, and it actually took a while to figure that out. I had to spend quite a bit of time going back and forth, looking for papers, because sometimes a little bit difficult to find papers. They can be a little bit obscure, but this was just super annoying to figure out. But the thing I want to focus on today here is an assignment. So this is a security class, and so we do cryptography. Okay, and so the simplest one of the simplest possible ciphers you can come up with is a so-called simple substitution. Okay, in a simple substitution, you just substitute one letter for every letter in the plain text to get the cipher text. Now, that substitution doesn't change, so you just use a fixed substitution throughout the entire message. And so I gave this problem, and here is the cipher text, and the problem in my undergraduate security class was to determine the plain text. Oops. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it in ChatGPT and ask it to solve for the plain text. Okay, so I'll say, hey, ChatGPT, solve the simple substitution ciphertext. And I'll put it there. What does it say? It's looking for repeated patterns, and it says something written about writing is about the act of writing and thinking about writing itself. Something written about writing Oh my God. Okay. Well, that's not correct. So I'll say that's not correct. And it will say, you're absolutely right. Thanks for catching that. Well, wasn't correct. Why did you give me the wrong answer? Okay. Before I proceed, can you confirm? Yes, it is a simple substitution. It is a simple substitution. Exclamation mark. Great. Thanks for confirming. What I'll do, okay? Solve it. It's not that complicated. Just solve the darned thing. Okay, anyway, it's working, taking a long time to think about it. So let's go to a simple substitution cipher breaker. And there's a lot of these online. So let's just see if this one, just pulled one up at random, I've never tried before, see if it can solve it. And let's calculate. And it says, hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart, and then you can start to make it better. Hey Jude, blah, blah, blah. That is correct. How hard was that? Okay, let's go back to ChatGPT, and it's still working. I'm going to be honest with you, solving a 400 plus character accurately requires constructing and checking full substitution table. No, it doesn't really. Doing that reliably without computational assistance is not feasible in a single reasoning pass. And I don't want to give you another incorrect solution. So we could look at, not there. Yeah, we could look at this. So these are the slides I use for my class. And in the cryptography section, we talk about simple substitution ciphers, and it's like right here. How would you go about breaking a ciphertext message? It looks like this. It's a simple substitution cipher. You look at frequency analysis, right? Because we know that E is the most common letter in English. And so if this follows anything like typical English letter statistics, whichever letter is most common in ciphertext is going to match up to the letter E. And in this case, we find that F is the most common letter in ciphertext, and that's probably E. And if you look, P and B here are pretty common letters as well. And so, T and H are pretty common, so maybe it's the. Okay, and so you just start picking it apart that way and, make some other guesses for, not quite so common letters, but, getting the first one, and then the next few takes a few trials, and then the next 3 or 4 takes a few more trials. And once you get it to that point, you can start guessing letters pretty easily. So it's not that difficult. Google Gemini. Okay, here we go. I'm going to chat with Gemini. No thanks. Chat with Gemini. No thanks. So chat with Gemini. Use Gemini. Got it. Okay. Solve this simple substitution cipher. The deciphered text, when we apply the above key, the message reveals itself to be the iconic song Everything at Once. Well, I did get that it's a song. Oh my God, this is horrible. I don't get it. Okay, that's not correct. That is not correct. You are absolutely right to call that out. Jesus. Come on. The text is actually the lyrics from Everything at Once. It's just repeating it. Oh my God. That's wrong too. I appreciate you keeping me honest. Why does it give wrong answers? Everything at once. It's just stuck on this, right? It's like A's everywhere. I sat down and mapped it out properly this time. I mean, at least ChatGPT said it couldn't do it after the first couple tries. This is pathetic. So anyway, that's it for today.